out taking pictures, and everything seems to be good on my car. It's running okay.
All right, we're down here at Richie Crampton shop with the ship box. About a year ago, it was last July, August, that Richie was getting ready to start his Nova project, and he was looking at getting rid of this, and reached out to, well, actually, I think you made like a public post first.
Yeah, I put it on Instagram for sale.
And then, so then there was a race between Joe Barry and I to say, what the heck's going on? And so I talked to you, and I talked to you though after Joe talked to you. And then I'm like, Joe, as long as you're getting it, whatever, like I'm cool. It just can't go somewhere that we don't know. It's got to kind of stay in the drag week circle.
And as you guys, and we were all talking, I was like, I didn't realize either of you guys would want to buy it at that point in time. And I was willing to just hold on to it forever until someone decided he was going to, end up being the guy that got it. But it couldn't have gone to a better home either way. Joe Barry, that guy's awesome, and of course,
well, you're representing them today.
Well, yeah, and I know it'll be in good hands with you guys also.
So, and that's the deal. So then Joe and I talked about it. I'm like, Joe, like whatever. I obviously don't need another car. Like you want it, you go ahead and get it. Like no problem. Like and if Richie needs to move it quick, I'll get it, and then you can just get it off of me. Like, however, I just want to make sure that, like it does, like I said, stay in that little circle. And that was like July, August area, and Joe's like, no, like we got this other thing going, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it. So obviously, I mean, that's July or August, and then to address the elephant in the room, extraordinary circumstance happened after the U.S. Nationals. Obviously, I mean, Jonnie won the Wally at that race. Everything good. Other stuff went down. Obviously, the car was wrecked. And with all of the stuff around that, we basically just let it sit. We didn't do anything with the car. I mean, it was a kind of to be determined moment, and it sat around for quite a while. Time's passed with it, and it's one of those things that it's such an iconic car. I mean, even in its short-lived time, became such an iconic car for drag week and for being just a radical street strip style car. And with the chassis and everything was obviously solid. That the damage from the wreck, physical damage to the car, ended up being rather minimal. That we've chased down a couple parts for it. To basically get it together. It's now in the point of being completely blown apart to just basically rebuild it kind of as it was with the twin turbo style setup. We're doing some modifications to it to hopefully be able to progress to a larger turbos that are hanging in here right now, and possibly a different engine platform in the future. You guys know the Nomad that I've got going on, and that's a screw blown deal. I mean, and the Nomad was decided even before this was decided over a year ago. So like if it wasn't for one radical screw blown car, obviously I'd put the screw blower in this, but to have two screw blown style cars, I mean, just definitely doesn't fit the bill. But figure with the platform in there and the smaller platform, it's a perfect time. Aydan's been bugging me to get out there and get some laps in. Most of my stuff is definitely higher up in the potential that's not the learner category. So figure with the Iron Block 6.0 that you had in this, that's kind of the perfect application for him to creep up on things, get comfortable with a car. I mean, it's a big, heavy, long, big, like it should be pretty controllable, pretty forgiving to learn with and get comfortable with. So that's the idea. That's where we're at with it, making those modifications to it down here at Richie's shop. And the goal is to have this at Rocky Mountain Race Week 1. Aydan is the pilot, me is the co-pilot. Richie is the guy getting things done so that we can make it there.
That's the deal, right? I sold you a complete car, and now it's time for me to stick to my word and put it back together.
But it made a ton of progress, and like I said, I mean, we're making tons of upgrades along the way that to, number one, do everything even different than it was. And a lot of stuff that you said, oh, well, when I built it, like I was in a hurry, so I didn't do this or didn't do that, and I slapped this together or whatever. And like, it's kind of trying to refine some of that stuff and truly make it still the ship box, but maybe a little more capable drivetrain wise, and
The better version.
so, yeah, exactly. There you go. The new and improved. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, after the incident and everything, like everything just got put on hold. It got stored away, and we had time to figure out what the plan would be. And I mean, we had open communication about that, and I was fine either way, whatever we decided to do.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, at one point we said, like, no, it just needs to go.
Yeah,
So
it was a hard decision for me the whole time, because I love this car to death, and I had a solid handshake agreement with you to sell it to you. But at points in time, I wanted to send this thing to the crusher because of the incident, the crash, and what that all meant to everyone involved. But to your credit, man, I appreciate you know it was crashed, but you've stuck there and waited for me to kind of get myself going here again and put it back together for you. So I think it's going to be really cool, and speaks volumes about this guy.
So, and that's the thing, is like, once again, whichever way it went, I mean, if the thing just got scrapped out, then so be it. If we wanted to fix it and revive it and get it out there again, then obviously I was good with that as well. So, and that's why so much time's passed and we haven't talked about it as far as the deal that was made over a year ago on the whole thing. Yeah. There's a handful of people that know about it and know about the deal, and actually it seems like a lot of people know about it that I don't even know how they know.
They're about to.
So, but yeah. So we're obviously making the public announcement. I guess you call it public if it's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
The public announcement the worldwide announcement that we are going to revive it, honor the car, and get it out there. Get Aydan some seat time in it. You ready?
Yeah, should be fun.
He's already driven it once or twice.
Exactly.
I think I had one too many beers one time, and he was my chauffeur / pilot.
Yeah, no, last summer when we were here for a Midwest Drags, a little get-together thing or whatever, that was the first time that he drove it. Well, I've never driven it, but like Aydan drove the car, to and from the restaurant that we went to eat at and everything,
Yeah.
and then fast forward 3 months later is when everything, then it's like, oh, and that's part of it, like with Aydan, it's like, oh, well, that car is so cool. And like, well, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't think the car's cool. So I mean,
it's 50-50.
So,
they either love it or they hate it.
well, I think the haters are very, very minimal. So, but we'll see. Maybe we'll learn some new haters right now. So if you're a hater, be a hater. So if you're a liker, be a liker. Like and subscribe.
Thanks, guys.
No room for a back seat. Cage fills it all. Lots of space, but not productive space. Once the stuff's in here, you need to make like tool trays that actually like real deep, that just set in there, that when you get to the track you can just take them out. Maximizes use of the space. Looking at trailer versus no trailer. Really want to try and get away from a trailer, especially in this rendition of the car. Luggage rack. I mean, there's space inside the car, and then just trying to figure out if we can maximize the space inside the car to possibly carry what we need with us, that we possibly don't need a trailer. And I mean, if we can make it easy that we can take when we get to the track, the biggest thing you don't want is that you're unpacking things one at a time. So I mean, if we can come up with a way to store things in a manner that allows for decently quick time to unload those things so that you can be ready to race, that'd be optimum situation. So And that's where you just gotta try and figure out how to utilize this space that you have back here in the best manner possible to not kill yourself at the track taking everything apart, versus a trailer that you can just unhook and be ready to run. But lots of little things to figure out, and just the stuff that learned over the years and trying to how to apply those to best suit this application. So
this air gap kind of depends a little bit on making sure that clamp, you know, the further back you go, the more room it's got.
right.
But this can also come up a hair if needed to be able to put the clamp basically right there. So
Well, it should slide over there, right?
yeah, yeah,
just roll
for
around
sure.
it.
Yep. Having said that, that radiator could stand up a little more vertical, but so could the intercooler. So it's kind of like. I don't know if you prefer them like black collar, thicker billet looking B-band saddle things, but I think that would, as ugly as it is, it's actually kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah, and then once we make the manifold top, that should be relatively clean, you know, straight in like that. Still got tons of room down in there. This radiator come out really bitchin', but I just gotta, you know, we'll figure out where the water pump's gonna go. He didn't send one with it, which
You didn't?
no. I thought of that the other day after you'd asked, but there's a bunch of different options to just put the remote one that I had, which is similar to what you have,
Right.
just not tank mounted.
Yep.
And then these will work really good, you know, from cylinder head, water pump area back out. But then
Now, did you send him these ANs? Did he weld it in, or did he end up coming up with those?
he had those. I got
What are
the,
these, a 16 and a 20?
yeah, I got the bigger 20s because he couldn't get those from a company here in town. So I've got the screw and fitting to suit that ORB that's welded to the tank. And then we've got some tie radius 3-inch bends to come out of here. And I think it's going to be a pretty clean straight shot back. Straight back to the, you know, over the suspension right here, but like basically like that.
Right.
You know, it'll be, I cut too much off this one, but basically like that back. It may
No,
like,
because we'll be able to drop the clamp and slide it right out the front.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and we can put more B-bands in if you'd like, but I think it's going to be cool as one. So that'll be kind of clean, I think.
you know what though, we should put, actually you should make it 2, because we should put a silicone in the middle of it, because if not, then you'll get, with the heat and everything, with the turbo and like that trying to move around. And I mean, we'll have the same thing we talked about with the headers. Now you got 2 like exact matches that you're
Yeah.
trying to make. You already have the header one that has to be exact, to where at least if there's some flex in there, I think if we don't have the flex in there, then we're gonna wish we had it.
So we could bead the tubing and put clamps, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I got the bead tool. That'd be really easy. Then yeah, I still got to get the 4.5-inch exhaust stuff on the discharge side of that and see how that looks to the firewall and out through the fender. But there's tons of room, so I'm sure we'll get it out. And then
Yeah, I talked to Doug at Motion, so I know that stuff's on the way. So I don't know
Yeah.
if he was going to overnight it, that you'll have it tomorrow, or.
Yep. And then I don't know how close your cars are with where the O2 sensor is in relation to the end of the tube or the turbo. I know it's not the best to have it too close to the end of the tube, but same deal with the turbo, I heard, but I guess we'll kind of
We
do
end
some
up pretty
research on
close.
that.
So I mean, that's to me, like when we come down and when it makes that bend to go out the fender,
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's almost like if there's room, just come straight in from this side.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Just need some finishing up, right?
Yeah, just final stuff. Final fit and finish.
I got fresh registration tags for it yesterday, so
Did you?
yeah,
Sweet.
we're ahead of the curve. Yeah, I got another steering rack there. Just whatever. I kind of been waiting on the steering column till I hang this turbo, just in case we got to cheat the steering column and how the steering shaft goes through.
Right.
Work around the turbo a little bit, but there's not a lot of option there. But we can do some stuff. And that's the engine lifted up 1 inch, like you said. So that kind of helped with the mid plate clearance, and I'll make the
And that'll put the frame rails lower than the oil pan.
yeah, yep. And then the tranny mount obviously is taller. It will be taller now, but I'll make it with the sliders, which I never had before, so it'll be a lot better to work on. And in the end, did you decide to weld the dash in? I know I was talking about bolting it in, but there's not really much point, is there? As small
No,
as it
because like we showed,
enough.
yeah, like when we went through it last time, I mean, there's so much with you cutting the bottom off. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing that you're gonna gain that we needed to access on the engine side through
No.
there.
Yeah, I was going to put that access panel here, which is pretty easy to get to even with the dash in place,
Right.
just to help get the wiring harness through and, anything like that. This mid plate's got to get cut down quite a bit, of course, but this tube right here, I offset it this time. Well, I had the guys offset it this time because the number 1 exhaust tube on the Hemi was actually like right on it when we had the big motor in here, but that's why them tubes don't look symmetrical, if you're wondering.
Gotcha.
One's behind and one's kind of tangent, but
I just thought you had the engine in there crooked.
I'm sure I do. That's why they put steering wheels in them, right?
Yep, exactly.
So we won't be cutting into any of this, which will be good for the ultimate iron thing if you run in that, of course, and dragweed.
Right.
Still get a decent sized plenum on that manifold. That thing's really cool.
No, that's a lot cooler looking than that high rise.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able for all that to line up like that, I mean, that's a lot better than that
The droopy
monkey
thing.
rig thing you were gonna do with the other one.
Cutting it back. Yep. Put the second fire bottle mount in the back over there. We got that stuff from Fire Aid showed up
Oh, did
a
it?
couple of weeks ago, so had the 1 bottle mount, but got to figure out the second place next to it there. Maybe add a piece of tube just to be able to clamp to or something, And then what were you thinking? I know we talked about the floor. You're thinking put a sheet metal floor above the tubing, right?
Yep.
And literally weld it in 040 mild steel, and then in the middle we can do an aluminum lower kind
Underneath
of pan.
Zeused on, yep.
Yep. And then I don't know what you think. Like I had it all boxed in back there. Like we could kind of do away with a lot of that tin next to the fire bottle as well and stuff. It gets a little weird because I kind of angled them back to be able to access the front four bar kind of bolts. So I was gonna say we can leave like that box out and just kind of put, you know, flatter sheet metal in the whole floor of the thing, you know, and then just kind of box it and case it in around the drive shaft tunnel. So we can kind of work through all that stuff. It's kind of a preference thing. It doesn't really matter, but just got to redo some of that one if we go that route again, or make something different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for as open as possible, and you just got the tunnel going through there, and then that's
Yep.
it. Like, to me, like the whole thing. I mean, it's like the trans cover and stuff. Like, I just like it all open. It just looks cooler. Like, and it doesn't change anything with heat or noise or anything. Like, I don't.
No one's
I
better
never
than the
noticed
other,
any
huh?
difference.
It's hot and nasty no matter what.
Right, exactly.
You
Like,
got to remember what you're driving at the time, though, huh?
and you just got to think when you pull in somewhere, the coolness factor of just everything open that they can see as much as they can. Then cowl panel, the hood, or this cowl, it was built out here, and then there was bolts like in this area for the fenders to sit on top of when you put the front end on. So he had this bar mostly is just to support the turbos, but with it allowed for the hinges for the hood, old school bolts, but and then also allowed for the pins to have this bracket here, so there can be a bolt there. So now when the front end goes on, it'll just hang over those bolts. And there's a lot more support than this cowl panel had for it. So, and the bonus is with all this trimmed off, is it gives you a lot more space here to be able to get at everything. So, Ultimate Iron, I believe, is all steel car. So everything's steel. It retains the factory cowl. So the steel cowl in the original location. That I believe is the basic rules for Ultimate Iron. I mean, there might be some other stuff in there, but I don't think so. I mean, primarily it's an unlimited car with an all steel body and original steel cowl, because a lot of cars the hood is incorporated, the cowl goes away, and then the hood basically goes to the windshield. So in an aftermarket type front end situation, so that's one of the things to keep it more factory would be that cowl panel stays there. 1.0 is a perfect example that a stock 69 Camaro has the cowl right across the front, and then the hood is basically the same as this, about 4 or 5 inches forward, to where 1.0 has the aftermarket hood, so it has no cowl, and the hood goes right all the way back to the windshield. So that'd be the big difference there. And then obviously all the steel panels, steel front end, you can't have any fiberglass. I think you're allowed fiberglass hood and deck lid and Ultimate Iron, and I think those are the only 2 fiberglass parts that you're allowed to have. Everything else has to be steel. So unless it's a Corvette, then everything can still be fiberglass. You don't have to switch to steel. He's got new tubs for it, so that tub's got some cracks in it. I don't know, I don't see anything on this one, but we drill a pull them all out, put that in, and then we'll change how the tin work goes in there. So, you gotta tear it apart before you can put it together. So.
You need me to buy you some sneakers?
What's that?
You need me to buy you some sneakers?
No, I'm good. Shit, these are steel toes.
Yeah, mine's got a hole in the toe. I dropped some steel on it the other day.
Oh yeah, no, very well built. So just basically needs some TLC and she'll be ready to rock and roll. I mean, car's already been in the 6s, so what we're trying to do with it shouldn't be any problem at all. So good shape. Yeah, 4-link setup. So rear end's over there, but yep. Got your 4-link with a wishbone. So anti-sway, obviously. I mean, Richie builds some killer crap. I mean, he's been building dragsters for years, and in the occasional street car, so I actually think it might have a few too many bars, but it is heavy, so. The easy way is you run E85 all the time, but that's what he did, and that's also what, like I said, I mean, it's pretty corrosive, so you don't like E85 sitting, especially through the winter months or anything, and so we're gonna take the pumps and everything out and take a look at them and see what they look like and see if we need to rebuild them. So that's next agenda, I guess. Pull the fuel system apart. Okay. So for today, we're just gonna finish up getting the wiring, get this down to basically just a spare chassis. Goal will be tomorrow to get ready for getting the seat in, steering wheel and stuff in place so that we can get seats poured. Get seats poured, pedal alignment and stuff done, so basically start moving forward. So it's weird, you always look and there's like, always looks like so much room, then when you start factoring everything in, then you're like, well, maybe it's a little tighter than I think it is, and maybe it's a little less room than I thought.
Some guys make it look easy, but this is a big car. I've got a lot of wasted space.
Well, on the same point, I mean, one of the lines could still run right through where this line is. And then you just add a tube for a return line and just keep them both on this side. I mean, I don't...
Yeah. Yeah, it's back to that whole, what I was worried about initially, was like throwing rocks at it from the front tire, but, you know.
Right. And that's where almost truly, I mean, you could go right beside the tunnel, even almost.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll just come down the tunnel and down the firewall down low and
right.
Get it up to the front engine.
And I think that'd be the best is, yeah, regulator just up on the motor plate and then right out of there into